And I am Lily Mohammed. Let me take you to the tech world. Now on Tech Daily today, we've been joined in studio by Ibako Mukwele. He is a CEO, Mknet Consulting and EMATECH Academy. They are into empowering African businesses and youth through innovative IT solutions. Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You're welcome to Ghana.
Thank you.
Why did it take you so long?
I would say it's coupled with the pandemic, because I always had a plan to come to Africa to do the same thing I'm doing right now. But with the pandemic, it drew things a little bit backward, and sometimes for you to travel, you have to prepare. So it's just mainly logistics, and I think now is the time.
Okay. You're welcome once again.
Thank
Tell
you.
us a bit about yourself and the work you do leveraging on technology.
Oh, where do I start? I have years of experience in information technology, building high-tech networks for pretty much every sector you can think of. I work for the U.S. military, been in Afghanistan, Kuwait. I work for entertainment industry in Hollywood. I live in Los Angeles, so all the entertainment and stuff you do here, and red carpet and stuff like that, TV shows, I've done all of that. Worked for the finance companies like banks, built the networks, healthcare, pretty much everywhere. So I've built networks for pretty much any company you can think of, private and public sector, right, and the government sector. So I started doing education. I started teaching folks. So having all this experience, I was like, it's time for me to start transferring what I have in my brain to other folks. But my main focus was Africa. Okay. Even though I was in America, but I was focusing on the African diaspora, right, and folks that can reach me, how they found me somewhere online. So it became really successful because I have students all over the place. One of my students right now is running one of the biggest companies in Norway, and all over the world. I have students in London, UK, all over the place. So I decided to move my companies into two separate ones. One is focused on building networks for folks, and the other one is just specialized in academia, just teaching folks how to actually build the networks. So.
What do you teach these young people? Is it age specific?
Is it age specific, which is the number one in information technology. So what I do is, I'm a network engineer. When I say network, what I do is I build what is known as routers and switches, stuff that connects to the internet, so that way data can be transferred from one part of the world to the other. For example, your Facebook, your WhatsApp, everything that collects data, like the footage of this thing right now, which is going to put on the internet. How do you transfer that? How do you upload that online? So how do you transfer it to the next part of the world? So the architecture at the back end is what I do. So for companies to be able to be up there, when I say up there, I mean like expose yourself to the world, you have to have somebody who can build your network. So that way, in a secure way, by the way, so that way you can transfer your data securely to your customers, doing a nice way, and collect, obviously, money, because business is about making yourself known and then collecting money and become big. So what I do is we build an architecture before any other, I'll say, career in information technology can fit in underneath. So that's what I teach my students, how to configure these network devices. It's a lot of coding, specifically for Cisco, Palo Alto, VMware. So new technologies like SD-WAN, which is what is controlling the world nowadays, and just also traditional network, which is just building the network, the hardware itself. So the virtual part of the network and also the traditional hardware network. I've done pretty much everything. That's what I teach my students. Okay.
How do businesses leverage on technology to grow it?
So technology is very crucial. It's very, very crucial. I'm not going to use big terms, networking terms, because I want the local person on the street watching this thing to understand.
Absolutely.
So yesterday I was driving down the street and I was trying to buy my wife, some African outfits, right? And I passed through this guy who was hanging the clothes, nice African outfits, right, on the trees. It looks so beautiful. It reminds me of when I used to grow up in Cameroon. So I stopped by and asked him the prices, and they were so cheap, compared to the US dollars, because I was trying to convert everything. But I was just thinking about, what if that business, that's a businessman right there. He's worth something. Yeah. He's worth millions of dollars. But to him, he's just trying to get there and make a daily, sell something and go back home. What if he has a way to expose his business online, where he can have a website. He can have pictures of his stuff, his catalog, and somebody somewhere in China or Germany can click on his website and buy the same product that I had to fly all the way to America to meet him on the streets somewhere. That's what technology does to businesses.
But is it enough to just have a website, to build a social media page? Is it enough to drive your business growth?
So it's different levels.
Okay.
What I just explained is a basic trader, somebody down the street. Now let me go to the upscale, folks that have the money, right? They have these big buildings, they have hotels and stuff like that. You actually have to have a network. You have to have a network that is built, hardwares that are built, sit in a very secure part in your building that controls your entire network, right? Everything out of your computers, your servers, and data goes through. So that way it connects to the other side. What this does is it does three things. The first thing is it increases productivity and efficiency for you and your company. Number two, customer experience. Every business is out there to sell something. If you're a business, you're out to sell something to make money. You have to be efficient. For you to be efficient, you have to have good technology so your workers can use that to be more efficient. If they have to get some work done within 2 months, if you provide the right technology, they can get that done in a couple of weeks. So you produce stuff faster. Customer service response is faster. That will boost growth. And that's how technology actually influences businesses. And with that, when you get to the third step, which is growth, when you have market expansion, when you're at that level, then you can start saving money. You can start opening different locations at different. You have a location, let's say in Accra, the other one in Kumasi. Before you know, you're outside of Ghana, you're going to a different African country. Before you know, you're going to other parts of the world. So that's how technology, you can only do that when you have the right technology in place. So it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have the right technology, you're not going anywhere. All you have is just phone calls and talks.
For countries like Africa and Ghana, so for continents like Africa,
right,
how do we leverage on the seemingly growing digital era, especially as we look to broadening our continental free trade area?
So again, it's very simple. It's the same thing I was just talking about. We have to invest in technology. I'll repeat again, we have to invest in technology. There's no other way around it. What I've noticed is that the good thing that has been done here in Africa is the Momo, where folks can transfer money. So that way, when I say businesses, so business is a big word, right? But most of the time when rich folks talk about business, they're talking about their large businesses that the regular person on the street sees every day, right? This conversation is not just for those rich folks. I'm talking about like the local traders down the streets, because they are the ones that actually can boost. They're the ones buying all the expensive stuff. The rich folks don't really buy them. They advertise. They use them to advertise this stuff. So, how do you use technology? Again, you have to have the right thing going. For example, 5G, the internet speed. How is it fast enough for that trader to be able to run the Momo transfer from one phone to the other? I noticed that recently. I live with my niece just down the street. Somewhere far from me, I don't know the street, the city is a little bit like that, but I noticed that she's always complaining, hey, I don't have network. That's what she's talking to her customers. So I'm thinking, what network does she have? Because I'm sitting with the internet part right here, which is what my phone is connected to. But that's not what she has. She has a phone number which connects to a service provider that provides a network. So the speed is so low that actually deprives her from doing her business. So think about if we have something like 5G, a faster internet, wireless internet, which can facilitate transfer businesses, just from a local person and all the way to the folks that have the money. This will really boost companies to grow. So that's how we can leverage that. First of all, start with the locals to be able how can you, because changing the lives of Ghanaians, it's okay for the rich folks. They can always travel. They're sick, they can just get in a plane and go to the United States and get treated, right? I always think about the local folks because I'm from the hoods. I would say that's what Americans call it, but I'm from the slums, how they call it in Africa. I didn't grow up of a rich person. I grew up from the poor neighborhoods. That's why I'm always talking about the locals out there. How can they make it to the level where I am right now? Because I was there. So those are the things you have to do for the country to develop. You have to first of all think about the folks on the streets. If you increase the standard of living, life is going to be different. It is going to be different because they're the ones who actually encourage other things to move forward. The folks who are already rich, they're comfortable. They can spend $5,000 to rent a hotel down the street, and life is okay. But the next person down the street doesn't have that kind of money. So the life is different. you have to start from people who are down there and bring them up to the middle level before they can get to anywhere. So,
What plans do you have for your work in Ghana?
what?
Plans do you have for your work in Ghana?
My goal here, not just for Ghana, but Africa as a whole, is to be able to introduce the type of technology that we have in America, which I have built with the colleagues that I have in my company, the engineers. There's nothing that we haven't built. We've built networks for airports, pretty much everywhere you can think about. I want to be able to give the opportunity to bring that technology, that intellect in Africa. The intellect in Africa. So we have the knowledge to do that. And we are kids, we're children from Africa. Why can't we make it happen here? If we have, like, I'm driving down the street, I'm using Google, right? Google Maps to take me all over the place, which is great because the streets have been updated in the Google database. What about African Google? We can create our own African Google, right? Make it an African thing. Okay, I'm not saying that, again, we make an African thing is also connected to the international community where people folks can access it anywhere, but something local, something custom to Africa. Use our own people, our own youths, educate them about information technology. They should know how to use computers, basic phones. They have TikTok and all these things, but those are not those are not African products. The TikTok, Google, Facebook, all those very famous stuff that we use to advantage, they're not created by us. But we help people to create that. If you go in the back end in all these countries, these things are created by Africans. Why aren't we creating our own?
But for a lot of these companies, they thrive on partnerships. Do you think that as Africans is something that we're keen on?
Partnership, I understand that because definitely you cannot, there's an ecosystem that you have to connect. I get that. But again, it's all about providing the funds to be able to make something happen. It's not about money. Africa is very rich. We know that. You know that. We all know that. The local person knows that because we see the resources. But it's up to us to make those funds available to be able to buy the right equipment to build our own.
Where are we lagging behind?
We're lacking behind on the fact that the idea to create that technology, to make it available to Africans, is not there.
Okay.
The intellect is there. Africans are very smart and very intelligent. I know us because I live with us in the United States. And I've been to a lot of countries across the world. It's exactly the same thing I noticed. But we don't have it. Why not here? Why do you have to travel there to make it happen? Why not here? So questions we ask the folks that are in control of these things. So that's where the change has to start first. The folks who are leading us, the leaders should be able to make it available. I was talking to another TV station yesterday, and the gentleman made a statement. He said, "That's true. What are you talking about? Because most of this technology is I was Googling, I noticed that Ghana has the satellite. And I read that there's a university here that it was actually built here. That's what we want to see, something local. So the satellite was not built by some American company or by some Chinese company. And again, I get it. I get the ecosystem ideology, but then we have to create our own and make it local. When we start creating our own, we become competitive with the Western world. And we're competitive. We start selling the local African outfit down the street that they like for more value.
Okay. How soon are you going to develop something, since it's something that you're looking
I'm
at?
ready to go. I just need the opportunity. Meet the folks that control the stuff. Give me the access to the stuff. We can assess the network, access these businesses, assess what they have, and tell you, hey, you are up to date or you're not. We're not coming here. The first thing, first of all, is not to make money, but obviously you can do some things around without making money. That's just how it is. But first things first, we want to help to assess the network, or even have a network.
What has been your assessment so far?
My assessment so far has come from different angles because I've been out for quite some time. So I have been watching a lot. I watch African movies for therapy. It's a therapy session for me in America. Because I live in America, I don't watch American movies because I see things down the street. It's boring for me. So I watch African movies. But when I watch a movie, I'm looking at most of the scenes, right? Like you have a scene where they'll throw like a 15 minutes or 20 minutes of a scene because a secretary probably threw coffee on the presentation that the boss was supposed to do the following day. So I'm thinking that the paper that was printed was supposed to be digitalized, right? It should be on a computer. Can't you just go back and print it or recreate another one?
Okay.
So that tells me like So if you have an American watching that movie, which they do watch our movies, they're going to be thinking the same way I'm thinking. Like, why are you spending 30 minutes on a simple idea that could take just like 2 seconds for someone to resolve that same issue? So that's the backwardness that I'm talking about, right? We need to get to that step where we use digital technology to be able to do stuff in Africa, in our business places and stuff like that. So again, like I said, what I want to do here is to be able to get those companies to reach out to me. When I say companies, it could be, I've worked for the U.S. government military, so I can definitely work for the military here if they give me that exposure to look at that network, make it more secure.
Have you walked up to them?
I have not, because here in Africa it's difficult to reach out. Who do you reach out to? How do you reach out to?
Okay.
That's the problem. It's not easy to just reach out and get the number of maybe, I don't know, the Minister of Communications in Ghana. I'll consider myself as a local person, right? But I'm not local when it comes to what I know and when it comes to my team knows and how the amount of impact we can have when you give us the opportunity to do that. So my message to anybody out there who controls the system is you have access, you have the power. Give access to Africans who have learned the white man's technology to build Africa.
Okay.
We're not coming here to make money. We do have money. We've made life great for us and our kids. But sometimes when we sit on TV and see how things are still running around across Africa, it hurts. And all we can do is know, why don't we go back there and do exactly what we're doing here? So that's the call.
Okay. I'm sure the powers that be are listening to you this morning.
That would be great.
And it's been a pleasure having you in the studio.
Thank you.
So that's Ebako Mokwele. He is a CEO, Mknet Consulting and EMATECH Academy in the United States. My name is Lily Mohammed. Let's do some celebrations now.